make sure all the school teaching the children how to be a homosexual and make sure they all teach about the transgender. So that is what important to me.
I think it's time I stop letting the intern pick the cold opens. Hello, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is June 19th, 2025. As always, we are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, on Locals. We're crushing it on the subscriber thing, so I'm not even going to mention it today, but I appreciate the something like 50,000 people that have subscribed in the last 6 days or so. But more importantly, today, finally, ladies and gentlemen, I can release my tequila. We have been working on this for 3 years. I have gotten so many emails and text messages. We originally wanted to come out last September. There was a lot of logistical stuff. I have learned a tremendous amount through this process, but Dave Rubin's Copal Reposado is now available for pre-sale, shipping next week. I am unbelievably excited. I am telling you guys, this is the best reposado you have ever had. I know in a lot of people, that's the distillery right there. We've been there a couple times down in Jalisco, near the town of Tequila. You fly to Guadalajara, you go to the town of Tequila, that's where we stayed, and then right outside of Tequila in Jalisco is our distillery. And I'm telling you guys, this tequila is the most elegant, exquisite, made the right way. It's 100% pure Blue Weber agave. There are no additives. We have a hint of vanilla and orange and something special in there that it is just exquisite. It is better. I don't want to talk crap about tequila, but it is better than Clase Azul, which is about $180 a bottle. It is better than Casamigos, which they just found out they were cutting with some chemicals or something. And every single bottle is an original piece of artwork. We did something so cool through AI printing, which is part of the reason that our delivery time got delayed. But every single bottle you get, the artwork here will be completely different. There's a message from me on the back. And first off, so the pre-sale is right now. You can go to drinkcopal.com. I'm going to sign a sticker for the first 1,000 bottles, which I think we're almost there already. And then maybe I'll extend it even beyond that, because I just want you guys to try this. It's just so absolutely delicious. So you can go to drinkcopal.com. You can't pause a live show. Should I just sit here quietly for maybe no, I guess I should just keep talking. You can't really do that on a live stream. Just sit. Can you guys go somewhere else for a little while? And I'll you know what I will do? I will pour myself some tequila. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Yeah, all right, I got somebody's raising the roof over there. I am telling you guys, this is the most, can I do a show on tequila? We will find out. It's really exquisite is the word I always use. And I'm telling you, we have, and it just smells great. Oh, that's nice, a little elevator music in case the people are going to drinkcopal.com right now. Oh, that's right. They're over there right now doing. That is good. Look at that. And it's just beautiful. I promise you that. Don't worry. We'll get to the show in a minute. I want to give a quick shout out to the first 10 people. So I offered it to the Locals people first this morning. And the first 10 people, you're getting a shout out by name, who purchased Copal. Francis in Locals, you're number 1. Linda, number 2. Sandy, you're number 3. Bruno is number 4. Ava is number 5. Randy is 6. Jeff is 7. Jody is 8. Deborah is 9. And Michael is 10. We're also on Instagram at Drink Copal. We've put together some beautiful images and videos and all that good stuff. And all you've got to do, go to drinkcopal.com and then just forward your receipt to hello@drinkcopal.com. I will sign a sticker for you that you can put on your bottle. As I said, all the bottles are one of a kind anyway, but then you'll have a signed sticker from me. And I'm very excited about this. I'm doing this business. I have my team working on it, but I've already, even before we launched, I had people that wanted to invest. I had someone that wanted to buy the company. We're doing this ourselves, direct to you guys. We're going to be in some restaurants in the Miami area and then scale it from there. But I really wanted to see more than anything else. Can I just do something? Can I take something that I love, create something that I love, and then sell it in a way? Most people don't buy alcohol, obviously, online, right? You do that for a wedding or for a gift, a birthday or whatever, if someone's out of state. But most people, you just go to the liquor store. So for now, we're mostly online. We want to see if we can leverage our audience and build a really successful business out of this. And I promise you, I have like 4 shows to do today. This is going to be a long day, guys. I promise you, it's just exquisite and wonderful and delicious. And look, we got some bottles over there, and you're really going to dig it. So I appreciate it. So one more time, drinkcopal.com. And if you get it in the first 48 hours, we're going to do, you know what? I said 1,000 people. Anyone that buys in the first 48 hours, you will get the signed thing. I got a wrist. I don't have one of those limp wrists like a Democrat. I got a pretty stiff wrist. I'm going to do it for you. You buy in the first 48 hours, starting right now for 48 hours. Anyone that buys it will get the signed sticker. You just forward your receipt over to hello@drinkcopal.com. And you know, the news these days could drive you to drink. That's not why you should drink. This should be just a pleasurable evening experience with you and the family and friends, perhaps. Don't drink because of politics, although I could see why it would push some people that way. So we are going to dive right back in, and we're going to focus a little bit to start on the media component of what's gone on, obviously, between Israel and Iran. And, you know, I've been talking about some of the influencer stuff on the right, and Tucker Carlson particularly. We're going to dive into that, then do a whole bunch more. And then we've got a Rubin Report.locals.com community Q&A on the other side because it's Thursday. So let's start with Tucker Carlson. He had Ted Cruz on his show yesterday. And, you know, over the last, whatever it is, year and a half since Tucker has gone independent, one of the criticisms of him, and it's not a criticism that I've laid out publicly, but one thing that I do consistently hear about him is that he's giving all of these softball interviews to people that have either confused ideas about history or about politics or whatever it is. Now, I'm an interviewer. People can criticize me. I've heard that people used to say it. They don't really say it anymore. People used to say Dave Rubin's a softball interviewer. Everyone can interview the way they want. When I was growing up, I used to watch Larry King. He was my hero and then became a mentor and a friend, and I would say a bonus grandfather. People used to say he was a softball interviewer. Then there were interviewers like Piers Morgan that are way more combative at times, and then sometimes they're softball interviews. Like, everyone has their own style. But one thing that has definitely been leveled at Tucker in the last little bit is that he's a softball interviewer for people that he wants to promote their ideas. He had an extremely, I don't know that there's an interview that he's done like this since he went independent. He had an extremely combative interview with Ted Cruz, mostly over Israel and Iran yesterday. And there was a lot of back and forth. It really caught the internet on fire. We're going to show you 2 or 3 clips here. I want to start with this because one point that Ted Cruz was bringing up was that Iran is not a good regime, and they have done bad things, and they have funded terrorism worldwide. I don't know, like funding Hamas that killed 46 Americans, and also that Iran has had a plan to assassinate Donald Trump. They got into that, and listen to Tucker's reaction.
But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. I voted for Donald Trump. I campaigned for Donald Trump. Yeah. He's our president. And we're on the cusp of a war. So if there's evidence that Iran paid hitmen to kill Donald Trump and is currently doing that, where's that? Like, what are you even talking? I've never heard that before.
Okay.
Where's the evidence? Who are these people? Why haven't they been arrested? Why are we not at war with Iran?
That's a great question to ask.
How do you know that that's true?
We know that it's true because we have been told that by the military and our intelligence community for the last 2 years.
We meaning who?
Congress has, and the public. I mean, we had multiple testimonies. I can send you testimony.
Do we know the names of the people or where this happened or what they tried to do to kill Trump?
We do not. We have not apprehended an Iranian hitman trying to kill him. We know that Iran is trying to do so.
In the United States?
Yes. And by the way, like Iran...
This just seems like a huge headline, and you're acting like everyone knows this. I didn't know that.
Iran put out a whole video about murdering Trump.
Right, but I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United States. I mean, trying to kill Trump right now, we should have a nationwide dragnet on this, and we should attack Iran immediately if that's true. Don't you think?
No.
If they're trying to assassinate our president?
They have been for 2 years.
Then why are we at war with them?
Well, we are trying to
Why don't we just nuke Tehran if they're trying to murder our president? There's nothing that you could do that would be worse for the United States than murdering Trump. And I just don't understand why you're not calling for the use of nuclear weapons against the Ayatollah right now. I'm serious. If you really believe they're trying to murder...
The use of nuclear weapons... See,
whatever
that's part
it
of the
takes.
problem of...
So what do you mean? You don't seem to take the allegations seriously. I do. If you believe they're trying to murder Trump, we need to stop what we're doing and punish them.
All right, so there's a couple things here. And as I said the other day when I started, I've gone a long time in the last year and a half as I've seen Tucker kind of go off the deep end, and I did not go after him. I think you guys see that. I even reached out to him and tried to, have an accord between him and Ben Shapiro. I said I could be part of it or not or whatever, but I did that all on the DL, did not do that publicly at first. Okay, fine. There's a lot to talk about there. First off, I think you can see the general demeanor it was very combative for 2 hours. Okay, you can do an interview however you want. Everyone's entitled to that. He simply has not done that with anyone else. And he puts on even the left-leaning people. Now, there's a couple things there. He said that he had never heard of this assassination plot. I mean, I just want to show you this headline. This is from ABC. ABC News, 3 charged in Iran-linked murder plots, with 1 targeting Donald Trump as revenge for killing Qasem Soleimani. Now, you remember that Soleimani was the head of the Iranian military, and Trump did that very, very early on. It was the mother of all bombs, was another thing that Trump did. Both of those things, people said it was going to start World War III. Obviously, it did not. Now, I want to also make another point. I don't have any more information than you do. Ted Cruz, I suppose, has more information because he gets intelligence reports. Now, are we to trust everything that the Department of Justice says? Probably not, right? At least the previous Department of Justice. I mean, it's being cleaned up now with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, so I have a lot more faith in the Department of Justice right now than I did before. But if we are to believe the Department of Justice, if we are to believe the reporting around that, if Ted Cruz, there's no reason not to believe Ted Cruz. If any of that is true, well then, and Pam Bondi, I mean, if any of that is true, well then Tucker's response is rather extraordinary because all the time, Tucker always says, I would never be for killing anyone. I don't want to kill anyone. I'm peaceful, blah, blah, blah. And it's a sort of thin, I would say, low resolution bumper sticker thing, because if someone killed your wife, you might want to kill them if they were shooting rockets at your house, if someone from another country raped your daughter, et cetera, et cetera. Like if it was in self-defense, you might kill someone. So to just say, I never want to kill anyone, I don't want to kill anyone. Obviously, you watching this don't want to kill anyone, but there are moments that you should defend yourself. And if someone's saying, I'm going to wipe your country off the planet, well, then perhaps you might be willing to kill someone. So it's interesting to me that he said he has never heard of it, something that I think most people have heard of. It's been widely reported. But then he did ask the right questions. How do you know it's true? And again, I'm giving the devil his due as it pertains to the Department of Justice. But then he says, all right, then we should attack Iran. Why aren't we at war with Iran? And we should nuke Tehran. And even Ted Cruz is not for any of that. Like, let's say it is true. Let's assume that it's true for a moment, that there's an assassination threat against Donald Trump. That doesn't mean we should nuke Tehran. We should try to there are pinpoint ways. I mean, I think the Mossad has shown there are ways through beepers and other things to kill specific people who are plotting to do things. But Tucker went from, I'm not for killing anyone, to moments later saying, if this is true, nuke Tehran. Now, he's entitled to whatever opinion he wants on any of this, but I'm just trying to show you the sort of thinness around what he's been doing. And I genuinely do not know why. Also, he was very dismissive of the assassination plot and then suddenly was implying that Ted Cruz wasn't even taking it seriously enough. I mean, the implication is that if Ted Cruz brought a bill to the Senate today to say, I want to nuke Tehran because they were trying to kill Donald Trump, that Tucker would be for it. I wouldn't be for that. I mean, I just don't really understand that. Anyway, here they continued a little bit more. Here's Tucker saying he's against killing anyone, which has been his thing. And then Ted Cruz making the moral argument, which is sometimes you do have to kill terrorists and bad people.
Is it that they're willing to spend money to do that?
I'm totally opposed to that. It's awful. I am against killing anybody, actually, and especially foreign government. Okay.
Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect Americans.
Yeah, that's just true. It's America first, not America alone, or not America in a vacuum, or not America unless you kill us, in which case we're okay being killed. Of course you want to kill people first who are going to come kill you. But I don't think you nuke an entire 10 million people, I think, live in Tehran. Like, I don't think you kill 10 million people because a small cadre of people, let's say, were trying to assassinate the president. But again, I'm just trying to show you like the rather thin argument there. I mean, we put this together. It's 20 seconds and it's just like, it's pretty freaking obvious, guys.
I am against killing anybody, actually.
10 seconds later.
No, we just nuke Tehran if they're trying to.
So what do you think? Like, what do you think about this? What does this make you think as it pertains to the arguments that Tucker has been making? again, I can't really stress this enough. This does not bring me great pleasure. I would have preferred this had not gone in this direction, but it has. Now, interestingly, Trump has a completely, he has a similar approach, I would say, to Iran, which is that if they get him, they're going to be in an awful lot of trouble, but not just because they have plans to do so. Tucker is literally saying if they have plans to do so, nuke them. Trump is saying if they get him, well, listen to this.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran.
That is probably right. That if they, God forbid, assassinated Donald Trump, the gates of hell would be opened on them. Now, I think you could have a perfectly moral, reasonable, philosophic argument like, okay, so if you found out that the heads of the Iranian national government or some terrorist organization or some proxy or whatever, this cadre of 20 people or whatever it was, 500 people all coordinated to work together to kill the president of the United States. You could have a philosophical and moral debate as to whether it's okay to obliterate the entire country. I think there's 91 million people in Iran. That's what Tucker told Ted Cruz yesterday. He really wanted to get him on the fact that Ted Cruz didn't know the exact number of people. I mean, it was a really ridiculous gotcha moment. That it was obvious Tucker didn't even know the answer to that a minute before. But you can have an honest debate about that. Like, what would be the real response? I mean, that would be the ultimate act of war. You'd be killing the leader of the free world. And should your country just be blown apart? Trump said, I've left instructions. So there's some debate around that. But Tucker said we should nuke Tehran now if this is true. Again, our Department of Justice says it's true. I hope it's not true, and I absolutely hope it doesn't happen. But I'm just trying to show you the thinness of these arguments. You can take like these faux, I guess what it is this. You can take these faux moral positions. I'd never kill anyone. I'm always a good guy. I'm nice to everybody. I always turn the other cheek. Like, those are easy things to say, and we all like them in theory. But then there are people that actually have to guard the walls, right? There are people who actually have to defend countries. And it may be hard for us to realize in the West, but there are people who do not like our way of life, who do not like our country. Some of them chant and lead chants saying death to America and call us the big Satan. So you can make a simplistic argument if you want, and I suppose that can confuse an awful lot of people and make it seem like the people who are defending themselves are the bad guys. But it's just not true. Now, I would prefer that everything that's happening right now with this little schism on the right be dialed back. I don't think you have seen anyone online call for more of a wide tent situation than me, repeatedly, almost to the point of banging my head into the desk, which maybe if I have a little more tequila, I will do at the end of the show. So Trump was asked about this little schism that's happening with Tucker right now, and he says that Tucker actually apologized.
Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me, but nobody thinks it's okay. I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him.
You know, in some sense, we don't even deserve Trump. Like, to me, he's getting better. That right there was even better than yesterday, Trump. Like, the way he is speaking with nuance, talking about that people can have disagreements with things and that Tucker really doesn't want this, and okay, we fought and he apologized. Like, The layer of honesty that we are getting out right now is just incredible. It is rare and precious, and I suspect we won't have it for very long. Not because of Trump, but the machine will always figure out a way to push in more lies. But that is nice to hear if Tucker does not want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Again, let's not forget, 46 Americans at least were killed by the Iranian proxy Hamas less than 2 years ago. So they have plenty of American blood on their hand. There's the Lebanese barracks. Like, we can go into all of the things that they've done over the years. And the threat, again, it was Tucker taking more of a hardline position. That's the irony. Tucker said, if it is true they're trying to assassinate him, you nuke Tehran. Donald Trump is not taking that position. Ted Cruz is not taking that position. I'm not taking that position. So anyway, it was an extremely, and I would say oddly unnecessarily combative interview that Cruz had with him. I think Cruz did a really nice job, and probably, if anything, maybe could have realized that it was going to be as combative as it was. Jason Calacanis from the All In podcast, I was on his show a couple weeks ago when we were in Austin. He wrote this. I thought this was the right tone here. It's awesome that Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz are debating issues like Iran in a full contact way. The Democrats should take note on how effective this is in building a big tent with different ideas. So I will say this, my criticisms of Tucker's ideas aside, the fact that he's sitting down in this case with someone who has different ideas is good. It is something I've tried to do. It's gotten harder over the years because so many people on the left, to Jason's point, would not debate ideas. So even when I was a lefty, as I started defending free speech, I'm talking about 8-9 years ago, it was the left that wouldn't talk to me and the right that would. So the right has an interesting moment right here. Like, there's a really, really teachable, learnable, like, level up moment, which is we've got some differences of opinion. But if it's true, Tucker, that you don't want Iran to get a bomb, but you just don't want America involved, then you should be pretty thrilled with what Israel did right now, because Iran is basically not functioning as a military anymore. There is still this issue with Fordo, which is the nuclear site Fordo, and whether they can actually do that final bombing themselves. But putting that aside, the rockets are basically stopping. They're not fully stopped, but they're basically stopping. Israel has control of their airspace. No American boot was on the ground. You know, Tucker and Alex Jones for weeks now have been saying this is going to lead to thermonuclear World War III. I simply don't understand that position. Whether you're for Israel doing this or not, and Israel's a sovereign nation and should do whatever they want, just like any sovereign nation should defend themselves as they see fit. But how now? The argument for weeks was this would lead to thermonuclear war. Well, not only is Iran's nuclear ability incapacitated, none of the Arab countries jumped in on the war. They're secretly rooting for Israel. Jordan is even helping shoot down some rockets. The Saudis are obviously happy, and they won't have to get in a nuke race with Iran. So there is not going to be any World War III. I don't know what the end of this is. I hope the Iranian people step up and take their country back from the mullahs and all of those things. But there's just no situation where we end up in World War III. So why, for so long, would you scare people into believing that? And that's what I mean about low resolution arguments. That's a low resolution argument. If anyone does anything, it leads to the worst thing. Like, no nuance whatsoever. It's the same exact thing as saying, I'm for peace. I'm peaceful. The people that are for war are bad, except you're not bad if you're for a war that is to save your life and save your family and everything else. I guess you get it. I did do an interview yesterday afternoon, which we put up last night with Rand Paul. And I hope you watch it. It's about 20 minutes, and we talk about the big, beautiful bill. We get into Iran and Israel. He's obviously a libertarian, has very strong feelings about foreign aid and everything else. And we got into some agreements and disagreements. And I just want to show you the end of it, because what I've tried to do, and maybe I've failed at times, but what I've tried to do in all my years doing this is treat every single guest the same. I obviously have guests I don't agree with on different things, but I try to treat everyone the same. I don't bring in somebody and then berate them for 2 hours. So this is how it ended with Rand Paul last night.
You and I probably don't completely agree on everything, but we've just had a pretty reasonable conversation, and I don't mind you challenging me in any way. But I have no intention of yelling or screaming, and I'm also clear that I don't know what the future is. Nobody does. Anybody who thinks they knows exactly what Iran will do, that's the unpredictability of foreign policy. We don't know what they're going to do. And I'll be the first to admit it. If they capitulate and they negotiate and we can get to a better place, Israel made the right decision. If they race to a nuclear bomb, it will have been the bad decision, but Israel won't have known in advance that. But there will at least be people like me saying it was a possibility that an attack could push them in the wrong direction, not the right direction.
Senator, that's why I love having you on the show. That's why we do this every few months, and we could use a little bit more of that. So let's keep doing it.
Thanks.
Anytime. And we will keep doing it. And that is the point. And everything he said there is true. None of us know the future. So I can't sit here and tell you, or I won't sit here and try to scare the hell out of you. Oh my God, some stuff's happening. World War III is on the way. I won't take sort of fake moral positions that I wouldn't apply to my own life, right? If there were terrorists that lived a mile away that were attacking me, I won't take my like faux moral outrage and apply it for you guys. Like everyone should think, how would you behave in a certain situation? And that's exactly what Rand Paul did right there. Regardless of Rand Paul's feelings about foreign aid, about military conflicts and everything else, what he said there was true. He doesn't want Iran to get the bomb, and apparently Tucker doesn't either, right? And they have been a state sponsor of terror. Nobody doubts that. Rand Paul doesn't doubt it. Ted Cruz doesn't doubt it, et cetera, et cetera. Tucker Carlson doesn't doubt it. But he's making the good point. If Israel does this, which it's almost done already, if Israel does this in the miraculous way that they have, and then Iran doesn't get a bomb and the country doesn't collapse and the people rise up, then it's a massive win. If this causes them to race for a bomb, which I don't see how that could be because so much of their infrastructure is destroyed right now, then maybe it would be a mistake. But the future is what will be the answer to that, right? That's where we will find this out. But it's better to have a little nuance when you're discussing this stuff than be screaming the entire time, World War III is coming, these people are warmongers, they want everybody dead, I'm just the good guy and all of it. It's just not honest. It's just not honest. So let's jump into now, where are we at the moment? Israel has basically decimated the Iranian army. Iran is running out of rocket launchers. Apparently they got a lot of rockets, and they hit an Israeli hospital yesterday. An Israeli hospital that I went to once, I think in 1997. I cut my hand on something and I had to go to the hospital, Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. They've hit this hospital, but they're running out of launchers, right? Because you can have 1 million rockets, but if you don't have a way to deliver them, then you got a bigger problem on your hands. So things do seem to be calming down just a bit at the moment. Here is Jesse Waters, and they get into a bit of talking about what Trump's plans are as it relates to all this, and that we may be in a little bit of a pause right now because maybe some good things are happening.
It's just breaking. The Wall Street Journal is reporting Trump privately approved attack plans against Iran. Now, we don't know what these plans entail, but we're told they include U.S. airstrikes. Unsure if that includes bunker busters. Remember, the latest version of the bunker buster has never been used on the battlefield. It's only been tested. Axios reports that Trump has been quizzing his generals. Are they sure if he uses them, they'll be 100% effective? The generals say yes, but Trump's not completely convinced. Caroline Leavitt says all options remain on the table. Trump's been waiting on giving the final order, seeing if the Iranians give up and surrender their nuke program peacefully. Sources in D.C. say Trump's out of patience and Iran's up against the clock.
You see what level of nuance we're getting here? You see what level of clarity and actual, this is what the government's doing and we're being told in an honest way. What did Donald Trump say? You got 60 days and then this all happened on 61. Pretty transparent. We showed you the compilation yesterday. Donald Trump, for literally the last 10 years, since the day he went down the golden escalator, I am not going to let Iran get a bomb. Now, as we're entering what you might call end game with all of this, the regime has been incapacitated. The leadership of the nuclear scientists are all gone. Khomeini, they know where he is for sure. He's in a bunker somewhere. They're deciding what they want to do with him. And it's up to Iran now to say, okay, we're done with all this. They may be done either way. Look, I don't know. I can't speak to what's going on at that facility and whether it even needs to be bombed in that sense, right? Like, and whether these bombs work. Apparently the generals are saying yes. Trump's saying, I don't know, but he's basically once again saying the same exact thing that he's always said, which is you're not going to get a bomb. So we're not just doing like some little ceasefire. You will cease this operation and you will give up. And by the way, that's the way wars used to be. World War I ended at some point with an ending to the war, not just a temporary ceasefire. World War II ended, right? Nuremberg trials ended. This can end too, and that's Trump's point. You don't do just like a ceasefire and we'll pick this thing up in a month from now.
We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
All right. So again, Trump being consistent. I like yellow tie Trump. It's like multiverse Trump or something, isn't it? Being absolutely consistent. And by the way, the Iranian regime, not the Iranian people, 61% who are Persian, but the Iranian Islamist regime of the mullahs and Khomeini and everyone else, they brought this on themselves. I've been to Israel many times. I spent a lot of time with people there. There was not one person that wanted this to happen. They would just prefer that a regime that constantly, that makes its main goal. What does Khomeini tweet about? Go to Khomeini's Twitter. Go to Khomeini's Twitter and see what he has tweeted about for the last 10 years. It's always destroy Israel, kill the Zionists, America's evil, big Satan, little Satan, all of these things. All they had to do was just focus on their own country, right? That's all you had to do. And again, that's completely congruent with what Trump said in Saudi Arabia 2 months ago. Everyone have your borders, have your countries. He's not demanding they have our lifestyle or anything else. He's not demanding they abandon their religion, but you just can't export terror. What you can export is goods, trade, and if you want to be part of what America is setting up through the Abraham Accords and everything else, you can all be part of that. And that's the horizon that we're getting to. Like, that is the win that I actually think is possible. And that seems a lot more sensible to focus on rather than thermonuclear World War III. But instead, the Iranians have chose to do this. There's a million videos of this. This one happens to be from 2018. Okay, first off, that seems like a terrible fire hazard to be burning those things in their parliament. But that's what they've chosen to do. Big Satan, let's burn the flag, let's fight with America all the time. Like, they just could have chose another way. So now I want to connect this to Trump's broader policies, because I think also what's happening right now is there's this debate in MAGA as to what Trump's policies are. Now, Trump, I think, has been very consistent about this and made it very, very clear. Here's Ted Cruz on what Trump's foreign policy philosophy is, and that he wants to defend America, not just leave America on an island somewhere.
There's some in the political debate that are urging the president essentially to be isolationist, not to engage and not to defend America. Donald J. Trump has never been isolationist. He doesn't want to get us into unnecessary wars. We're not going to see boots on the ground in Iran. But if you look at the first term, President Trump, he utterly destroyed ISIS and their caliphate. He took out General Soleimani, the leading state sponsor of terrorism. He took out al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS. Donald Trump has not hesitated to act when he's protecting American lives. That's exactly what's happening in Israel. And I want to say, God bless the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Israel tonight, and pray for our servicemen and women in harm's way.
All right, so again, Cruz is illustrating that Donald Trump does not want boots in the ground. I have not heard anyone, the craziest far-right Israeli general, no one is calling for boots on the ground or anything like that. They're saying, if you guys can help us with this last little piece, we'd like that help. Now, whether we should do that or not is anyone's opinion is completely valid on that, right? Anyone's opinion is completely valid on that. Is what do we just give them what they need? Do we not? Is there some other way to do it? Blah, blah. Have they done enough already? Okay, all of those things are negotiable, right? That's like a sensible conversation. But the point is that Trump is so consistent that he's done these things in the past, when he killed Soleimani, when he dropped the mother of all bombs, when he killed al-Baghdadi, all of those things, when he moved the embassy to Jerusalem. Remember, all of those things, all of the media, World War III is about to start, World War III is about to start, and none of it did, because the world actually likes an America that leads, and that's Donald Trump's MAGA America First agenda, not a purely isolationist agenda. So while I'm very sympathetic to the most libertarian voices, which is why I like Rand Paul so much, and I believe in individual liberty and you should keep as much of yours, I don't think it works. In some sense, it doesn't work outside of just a pure vacuum. It's nice to say that you can just focus on yourself and everything will be okay, but there is a wider world and you do have to defend yourself. And sometimes offense. We killed Soleimani. Don't fuck with us. It works, as opposed to what did Barack Obama and then Joe Biden do? Well, they got into these Iranian negotiations about the nukes. And then what did Biden do? What did we say? It was $16 billion that we gave them? $16 billion that we gave them just weeks before October 7th. Like, think about that. Really think about that. Anyway, let's look at some of the numbers as where Trump is, regardless of what you think or what I think about the internal fight. Let's look at some numbers on where Trump's at with Republicans and overall as it relates to Israel and Iran.
And overall, I feel like there's more support for Donald Trump's positions than is comically acknowledged. Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that. They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. 83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats. When you get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything, you know that that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public is with Donald Trump. They definitely oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons.
So this is a nuance here, but, Trump and Netanyahu both arguing that Iran is close to being capable of making a nuclear weapon. If that is the case, what is the feeling of Americans as to whether the United States should get involved in this conflict?
Right. If you buy Donald Trump's theory of the case, and I think that's important to note, this is polling from April. If Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at this. Overall, you get the slight plurality. I mean, it's within the margin of error, but the slight plurality of Americans actually favor U.S. airstrikes compared to 47% opposing it. Now, here's the other nugget I'll note, right? There's been a lot of talk online and on social media and in podcasts of a divide within the Republican ranks. But here on this question, if Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at that. 69% of Republicans, the clear vast majority of Republicans, favor U.S. airstrikes on Iran.
Okay, all right. So not only do most Americans not want Iran to get a bomb, most Americans are actually for a huge amount of Republicans, but most Americans, as he just showed, 48% versus 47% opposed, are for America doing something. Again, I'm kind of ambivalent on that. I don't know. I don't know more than you do on that as to how this thing finishes and exactly what they need. Again, it does sound like from what everyone's saying, and Trump is asking the generals, that the B-52 probably has to drop and Israel doesn't have them, one or two bombs to really get into the deep underground area that the Fordo reactor's in. Okay, fine. Again, I don't know. But the point is that most Americans don't want an Islamist regime that has exported terrorism to have a bomb. Most Americans are for what Trump is doing. And I guess what I would say to put a pin in the Tucker Carlson thing is, if it's true what Donald Trump said when you called him on the phone, you don't want Iran to get a bomb. Well, okay, Israel has done an awful lot for that. So maybe stop endlessly focusing and vilifying Israel. And then maybe because Israel's doing the dirty work. As the German chancellor said in an interview yesterday, Israel right now is doing the dirty work for the entire world because the world will be safer after this. So you can hate the Jews along the way, but they're actually making the world a little bit safer. So there's that version of it. But I would say, Tucker, so give up some of that argument, like stop doing that and get on board Trump. You're never going to have a president that will be more transparent and more clear and more consistent over the years. So it does not mean he's going to do everything right, but you're going to damn well know why he did it and what his plans are, because he's telling us consistently. From all of that, we will go to the ladies of The View who have awful lot of opinions on this nonsense in just a moment. But first, Block Trust IRA. When the financial elite quietly build their wealth through crypto, everyday Americans have been left out until now. Block Trust IRA is changing that. I've partnered with them because they're using cutting-edge AI to empower hardworking Americans with the same wealth-building tools the establishment wants to keep out of your hands. Their Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, executing advanced crypto strategies far beyond buy and hold. No surprise it was named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine, beating out over 1,500 competitors worldwide. Whether you're a teacher, trucker, small business owner, or retiree watching inflation eat your savings, Block Trust IRA is giving you a way to fight back. Backed by military-grade security and up to $200 million in insurance. Clients are seeing returns of over 250%, and right now they're offering up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you open an account. Visit DaveRubinCrypto.com to join the financial revolution and claim what's rightfully yours. That's DaveRubinCrypto.com. I realized during the break that I've been doing this intermittent fasting thing. I haven't eaten since about 7 o'clock yesterday, then played basketball, haven't eaten today. I got to tell you, this tequila is just fine. Copal tequila. Get yours at drinkcopal.com. Actually, I'm seeing they're showing me some numbers right now. It sounds like it's selling like hotcakes. That's what we used to say. I'm going to give a whole bunch of you shout outs throughout the show. We're just getting a list of names coming through right now. So drinkcopal.com. All right, so let's jump over to The View. And, I was playing basketball last night. A friend of mine said to me, Dave, I love the show. I love the show, watching the show all the time. You make so much sense. Why are you always showing the clips of the ladies of The View? And I have this constant battle about this. For some reason, they have lodged themselves into the mainstream psyche of America. And until that gets dislodged, I think they need to be called out on it because it's getting more and more hysterical. And I guess the piece that I'm really amazed by is not that Whoopi says stupid things, and it's not that Sonny's a racist. It's that it is a giant corporate-backed show. So what I'm much more curious about is why does the ABC news and entertainment divisions, why do they back this ridiculous show saying completely insane, like this is a top 10 stupid thing for Whoopi, which is not an easy list to crack? Go.
Just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
But where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people. So
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Not if you're black. I mean, that it really doesn't even. I don't want to curse today. I'm going to really try not to curse today. You know what I mean? What are you saying, Whoopi? First off, we tie gay folks to cars here in America. Yeah, maybe if they're looking for a good time. But no. I think maybe she's talking about the Matthew Shepard thing that happened about 25 years ago. Gay people are doing just fine. I went to South Beach recently. I don't go there that often. I had a smoothie at Pura Vida, and I saw some gay people. They were very happy, actually. They seemed to be doing just fine. That was my one experience of the week with gay people. As for black people, I also see black people around America. They seem to be doing just fine. Nobody's lynching. Well, actually, they get fake lynched like Jesse Smollett, so maybe that's what you were talking about, Whoopi. But the idea that you need this country to be so horrible. And in your mind, I suppose it is, except that you're worth probably $50 million and you have your own security and you're getting the good ass weed. We know about that. Like, come on, lady, stop with this nonsense. And I love how when Alyssa Farah, again, the pet Republican who occasionally makes sense, and they give her the cookie, she's trying to make a point. Like, Iran is bad to their minorities. Let's not do that. This is The View. Let's not do that. Say something sensible. Meanwhile, if you want to see something completely ridiculous, we've seen this like endless since COVID, really, or maybe even a little bit before, the BLM, Antifa, Hamas, it just morphs. The protesters just morph and they put on Hamas masks and they put on COVID masks and they don't know what they're protesting for. And it's all LARPing losers who are mostly from rich families who just want to burn the earth because their parents didn't buy them enough Pokemon Pogs or something. Were there Pokemon Pogs? Or what? Garbage Pail Kids? What? V-Bucks? I don't even know what that is. Well, anyway, they've all morphed and now they're Iranian regime. Well, now they're against Israel and the U.S. and they're carrying Iranian flags in New York City. I've been offering to buy some of these people dinner. Not that guy. You're just insane, man. You're just freaking insane. You live in New York City. You're waving the flag of I think that was the Palestinian flag, of a country that never existed, that was funded by the Iranian regime that's killing Americans. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But again, it's just, what we call it, we on the computer there, we call it the current thing, trademark, right? It's the current thing. Whatever the current thing is, okay, so now they've got Iran flags. They had Hamas flags, they had Hezbollah flags, they had Antifa flags, they had BLM flags, and they will have something else tomorrow. because it's always about the revolution. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. And we have revolutionaries that have been ginned up by dingbats like Whoopi Goldberg and AOC and the rest of them into thinking that America is a bad place. Marine Corps Mama, just an ex-user, I thought laid it out perfectly. They shifted from trans to Ukraine to Gaza to illegals to Iran. How can I keep up? Right. Your head would just be spinning like this if you were, and also think about the emotional state of these people. They're out there with masks protesting for trans issues. Then they're out there with masks protesting for Hamas, and Hamas wants to kill the trans. And then they somehow bring in this thing. And then it was about BLM, but then we got rid of BLM. Like, you guys get it. It's just endless circus. A couple new, I'm just going to shout out random people that are buying Copal while we are live on air right now. Diane, Linda, Michael, Greg, Catherine, David, Robert. We'll have more for you in just a moment. Now back to The View, where Anna Navarro, she wants modern slavery because she's a Democrat.
And look, what's going to happen here is that we're going to find that milk gets a lot higher. Because I don't know if any of you have ever been in a dairy farm. It is god-awful work. We're going to see that groceries and vegetables are higher. We're going to see an effect in our economy because whether people like it or not, whether Americans acknowledge it or not, undocumented immigrants are an integral part of our society and our economy. And we're going to have to get used to seeing the videos of U.S. citizens detained, of U.S. citizen children being ripped from the arms of their mothers and while they wail, of, dads and moms and business owners. Yeah, we're going to.
Quick correction, that obviously was not The View. For some reason, that woman has an extra side. That's her side quest. Her side quest is showing up to CNN and doing something over there. It's just so, my feelings on this. Like, the idea lady, now you might be right. I'm going to try. You might be right to some extent. Are there a lot of illegals here working jobs that a lot of people don't want to do? Yes. Does that mean they should be here? No. Are there better ways of doing this? First off, are there ways to either giving them some sort of pathway to citizenship or having them register or getting to the back of the line? Like, there's a million things as it relates to all that. But basically what she says is she wants slaves. She wants modern serfs. She wants modern indentured servants so that your milk and your vegetables will be a little bit cheaper. I'm all for cheap milk and cheap vegetables and cheap everything, right? I want more competition and more capitalism to do that. She doesn't really understand the basic idea of free trade and capitalism and exchanging goods in return for service and dollars and all of those things. But also, lady, they're going to be replaced with robots. It's happening right now. They're robots in the field. By the end of this year, the Optimus robot from Tesla that Elon is working on is going to start being in our homes. And then, Anna Navarro, you probably won't need your butler because her husband's worth like $50 million, right? Like, she's doing okay. And I wonder, does she have, like, Anna, I'm going to guess that the people who cut your lawn are illegals. I'm going to guess that they are. And I'm going to also guess that you can afford not to, but you're pretending to be good rather than being good. And now, if you think that wasn't nutty, I genuinely cannot believe this one. Eric Swalwell, who's, he's one of the worst, I would say. You got like the Hamas crews, so the Ilhan AOCs, like the true terror supporter Democrats are the worst. And then there's this layer below it, and that's where Swalwell is, and the catcher's mitt lady, and a couple others. Eric Swalwell put this video up on X yesterday. I had to look like 4 times to make sure this wasn't a parody account. This was from his official X account.
I had a really good time today.
Yeah, me too. I really look.
What are you doing? She's coming with us. What are you talking about? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're rounding up illegals.
She was born here. She's a citizen.
I don't care. She looks like one of them. But don't worry. When she's in prison in El Salvador, she'll have lots of company.
You know what's interesting, Eric Swalwell? Unlike you, I don't want to censor you for that. I'm okay with you putting up ridiculous misinformation and malinformation and total lies and complete fabrications. And notice you had to hire actors for it because you couldn't show real video of it because that shit's not happening. But can you believe he did that? And then you wonder, why is it there are brain-broken 19-year-olds with a COVID mask and a Hamas thing over here and a scarf over here with an Iranian flag and a BLM thing and one nut and a boob, and they're running around screaming, I hate America. It's because of people like you. Couple more Copal people that just bought in. David, Mark, Kerry, and Wendy. Thank you for purchasing Copal. You will enjoy it, I promise you. Let's jump over to Jim Acosta. This is the man who was embarrassed and fired from CNN for being a total hack. And again, this is what they do with everything. Listen to his argument for illegal immigrants. It's actually an argument against illegal immigrants, but somehow, you know how TDS works, everything's about Trump, and thus you will take any position on anything at any time.
I got a question, though. Where are the ICE raids at the Trump properties?
Yes.
Can somebody call ICE on the Trump golf course in Virginia?
Yes.
You're telling me there's nobody in there that is undocumented or has some kind of squirreliness going on with their paperwork? Give me a break. Hey, how many immigrants has he married? He's got one buried at his golf course in New Jersey. Isn't she buried by the first hole or the second tee or something like that?
The first hole, yeah, it's the first hole.
Immigrants always doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
That is literally the round table from hell right there. Can you imagine if I was like, guys, it's Friday. We've got a round table extravaganza for you. This crazy bitch and this, like, okay, fine. Well, first off, I'll agree with you, Jim Acosta. If there are illegals working at Donald Trump's golf course, in light of the process that Donald Trump has put forward, it should be dealt with. Except the problem is you don't want it being dealt with. You only want it being dealt with when it's at Trump's places. So unless your argument is actually you're okay with this, you just want it to, I guess what Acosta's argument is, I'm okay with illegals being taken out and arrested. I just want the program to be expanded. So once again, you just made the reverse argument. I'll go with you on that. I wouldn't want illegals to be protected at Donald Trump's properties. So let's find out. There's only one way to find out. But congratulations, Jim Acosta. You seemingly think that Donald Trump is not being forceful enough as it comes to deportations. As to the person, there's somebody buried at hole number one at one of his things. I think the implication was there's an illegal buried. Can we do a little Googling on this? There is an illegal buried at Donald Trump's, or we're going to find out about that. Let's jump over to a woman who put the B in Botox, Kathy Hochul.
That are walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
All right, so just unbelievably extraordinary. After all of everything we've been through, she still wants to take $50 million from good, decent taxpayers of New York, many of whom actually are hanging on by a thread because so many of them have left and come down here, which is why Florida's #1 economy in the country right now. And New York is running out of a tax base. She wants another $50 million for the services for illegals. Who does she care about? Does she care about the people who can vote for her, or does she care about another group of people? Unless her plan is to bring in enough of them so that they can vote for her. Would that be crazy? Would that be crazy of me? We also did a little checking here. Apparently, I mean, this is actually kind of wild. Apparently, Ivana Trump, so Donald Trump's first wife, is actually buried at Bedminster Golf Course. That's in Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken. New Jersey. She's buried there. And I guess, yes, she was an immigrant, but she wasn't an illegal immigrant, you awful freaks. Want to thank Jonathan, Catherine, Richard, and Randy, who just jumped in at drinkcopal.com. Let's jump over to what happens if you just have bad policies all the time. What happens? Well, this from the New York Times. The DNC is in chaos and desperate for cash under its new leader, Ken Martin. The Democrat National Committee has been plagued by infighting and a drop in big donations, raising alarms from Democrats as they try to win back power. Just months into the tenure of the new party leader, Ken Martin, the Democratic National Committee's financial situation has grown so bleak that top officials have discussed whether they might need to borrow money this year to keep paying the bills. Fundraising for major donors, some of whom Mr. Martin has still not spoken with, has slowed sharply. At the same time, he has expanded the party's financial commitments to every state and even far-flung territories like Guam. Guys, surprise, surprise, you have all horrible policies. You radically hate the country. You don't know the difference between boys and girls. You think 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. And all of that, you put that all in a bucket and have your base out there holding terrorist flags. Suddenly the people with cash are just like, you know what? I think I'm actually just going to buy an extra expensive bottle of wine tonight. James Carville, who at one time was a sane Democrat and at one time was one of the leaders of the party that was whether you agreed with it or not, you wouldn't think it was completely insane, right? It was a somewhat moderate party for a while. Think Bill Clinton Democrats, whether you agreed with them or not. That's when James Carville really came to stardom. Here he is on Will Cain's show trying to explain to us that the Democrat Party is the most effective party in the history of the world.
This was a demonstrator in Los Angeles on top of a burned out Waymo waving a Mexican flag after the ICE riots last weekend. That to me is something that's a problem, not just for his legal future, but also for your party and what it symbolically now has embraced, which I think we're getting a lot of examples is anti-American.
I can't defend every person. It doesn't make any sense.
Party. But James,
I'll defend the Democratic Party. Democratic Party has been the most effective political party in the history of the world. It started Social Security. It brought civil rights. It brought women's rights. It brought gay rights. It brought the last party to bring a balanced budget to the United States of America. Okay, it shepherded the United States through the greatest age of prosperity it ever had, the 90s. The Democratic Party really does not need me to defend it. It has a record.
It does.
It does, as good as you can imagine in a depression.
But that ain't today, James. And oh, how the sad state it is in today.
Yeah, that's the point. Good point, Will Cain. You can give me a laundry list of things, and whether they're all true or not. Let's even say that everything that he said there is true. And Democrats, because they were actual old school liberals, were right on a lot of things when it came to getting people true equality. Right? When we had laws that were race-based laws, or we discriminated against people on their sexuality or whatever it might be. It actually was the good old-fashioned liberal of the Democrat Party that was arm in arm with Martin Luther King Jr., right? So that is true. And let's just go with it. Everything else you said there is true. Okay, that's just fine, James. But that has nothing to do with the party that you now, I suppose, are still a part of. All of the sane people that believe the things that you believe are now part of a much bigger, broader Republican Party brought to us by an orange man with a red hat named Donald Trump. And until you really understand that, what you guys are going to do are purge all of the sane people. So we got one more video for you, and then we'll get to the Rubin Report community Q&A. Whitney Cummings, I don't think I've ever shown a video of her before. She's a comedian, kind of indifferent to her altogether, but she's been a big lefty. She's been pretty bad, I think, on a lot of the woke stuff and that kind of thing. But she went on Bill Maher's show on Friday talking about how she's been a big lib her whole life, but then she had kids, and you're not going to believe it. Now she's kind of conservative.
It's been fascinating because I've been on this sort of journey through motherhood where, I've always been a very liberal person, maybe even a libtard. But once you have a kid, you start having thoughts that have been characterized as conservative. Yes. As soon as I had a kid, I was like, I need a gun now. Not for myself, because I've got coyotes in my yard. Right. I've got coyotes everywhere. And before I had a kid, I was like, they coexist with us. Coyotes were here first. I'm in the coyotes' home. Now I'm like, let's make hats out of them. Let's make hats. Let's make coyote boots, coyote earrings out of their eyeballs. It's just...
All right, I get it. She's doing shtick there, but what do I always say? A conservative is just a liberal mugged by reality. So you could have your sort of luxury beliefs. I'm good, I'm nice, everyone's legal, blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly you have a family to protect. And you suddenly realize, boy, a fence does matter at your house. And you suddenly are like, oh, maybe I should have a gun. And you're suddenly like, oh, maybe it starts opening up doors in your mind. And you're like, boy, that is odd. Why is the government forcing me to inject my child with this thing when kids don't die of it? And So congratulations to Whitney Cummings. I think you're well on the way to becoming a sane person. It doesn't mean you have to become some hardcore right-wing traditionalist religious conservative, but you might just be for America and freedom and liberty, and those are all the things that are now represented by MAGA. And that, to tie it all together, I would say that person that Whitney Cummings seems to be on the way to becoming, that person maybe could actually be in the same party, clearly as Donald Trump, but maybe even Tucker Carlson, if he'll just let some of his nonsense go away right now. I think we've got it. We've got all the pieces. I'm going to keep fighting for it. A couple more shout outs for you guys that bought during the show. George, John, Bethany, Paul, Patricia, Natasha, Alicia, Louis, Floyd, Michael, Stephen, Don, Aaron, Ronnie. Thank you, everybody. Lean real quick, and then we'll get to a community Q&A in just a sec. Have you heard of Caralluma? It's an edible cactus from India known for its appetite suppressant effects, and it's one of the key ingredients in a powerful supplement called Lean. If you've got bold weight loss goals but don't want to deal with injections, Lean might actually be what you're looking for. Formulated by doctors, Lean is the closest thing they've seen to the benefits of those popular shots without the needle. Get started today with 20% off with code DAVE20 at TakeLean.com. That's DAVE20 at TakeLean.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Am I allowed to say that the tequila will prevent any disease? I'd have to talk to my lawyers about that. I cannot make that promise, but I promise you it is absolutely delicious. I think I said at the top, if you're a Locals member, you're getting 25% off for 48 hours. It's the only discount we're going to do all year, which is basically you end up with 3 free months at Locals if you want to join us. But drinkcopal.com. We're going to get these out to you pretty soon. You'll hopefully have it by, you'll hopefully have it by my birthday, which is June 26th, but definitely have it by July 4th. That is the goal. And I'm just really glad to see so many people are into it. And I appreciate the patience, everyone. I really do. All right, couple questions, and then we got to move. Doc Ransom says, I know the left likes to use the argument that immigrants commit less crime than citizens, but this is patently false for those here illegally, given the simple fact that being here illegally means you have committed a crime. So 100% of illegal immigrants have committed a crime. But progressives/leftists don't operate on the logical level. They are all emotion and optics. Yeah, I mean, that's why I've been doing this thing about why they're all limp-wristed and why do all these Democrat men, Cory Booker and Padillo from Cali, why are they constantly crying? Like they are operating in a way that because they're trying to hit on something emotional rather than something real. It's why you need conservatives to guard the door. The Douglas Murray line, the barbarians will be at the gate, we'll be debating what gender pronouns to call them. And if it wasn't strong-willed, again, I mean conservative in the low little c sense of it, if it wasn't sensible people guarding the door, then all of the limp-wristed crying people would be like, oh, the orcs who are coming in, they just want lunch. And then next thing you know, the orcs are eating you for lunch. That's how it works. So it's highly emotive. And yes, of course, that's why they don't want to say illegal. It's why they want you to say undocumented or a series of other Orwellian terms, right? Because legal and ill, you put those together, it's pretty obvious what it means. And that's why they don't want you to even use the word. So when they start going after your words, you should know there's a more nefarious reason. Than just because they're just so kind and lovely and nice. Glenn says, what do you think about the theory that the shooting of Democrats in Minnesota in their homes by an apparently fellow Democrat was so the left could blame it on the right and Republicans? Well, look, I wouldn't put anything past the machine. It's interesting how that story has kind of largely gone away now, right? I mean, it was a pretty significant story to have lawmakers killed in Minnesota, but it went away almost immediately because it did turn out to be lefties. Was there a moment in the media where they wanted to pin it on the right? Yeah, but again, thankfully now we have this, to whatever extent the internet is free internet, free in terms of speech, I mean, and we pretty much would have debunked all of that, so that's good. Elizabeth says, any fun birthday plans on the agenda? We're having a big 49th birthday for me on June 28th. My birthday is June 26th. I don't know what the plans are. I assume it'll be just probably dinner with David and the boys, which will be just great. I don't want anything. I don't want any gifts. I want nothing. I have everything that I could ever want. And then just party with some friends and tequila on the 28th. Joe says, what's the fastest way to annoy a Florida man? Oh, this is super easy. It's one of the only things that bothers me in Florida, besides the nonsense that if I'm talking about The View or whatever stuff I'm talking about on the show. If I see particularly Bernie, because I do see them, Bernie or just like any, when I saw Charlie Crist bumper stickers, or I had a neighbor that had the Charlie Crist sign. And it's like, what are you? What are you? Actually, during Halloween, there was a neighbor that had the Charlie Crist sign, or they had it previously. The election was over already. But I said to the kids, we don't have to go there. Let's just stay away from that house. Because they're putting some weird stuff in the Tootsie Roll. Like something's not right with those people. But that type of thing. It's like if I see, It just that you live in the free. It's like the Anna Navarro thing. She lives in the freest state in the country, in the freest country in the world, and she just hates it so much. Which also reminds me, we've been trying to do it for 3 years. Finally, this week, I don't even know if you guys saw it. We put up a huge American flag in the front by the entry of the house because it's like, this is America. It's the greatest country in the world. Let's keep fighting for it. All right, real quick, Ultra Liver. A couple more questions, and then we got to move on. If you're feeling tired, sluggish, or just not yourself, it could be your liver. Most people don't realize how much processed food, alcohol, and even daily stress can clog the liver, which is an organ essential for digestion, detox, and energy. That's why Dr. Josh, a practicing physician with over 25 years of experience, developed Ultra Liver, a powerful supplement designed to support liver health and help flush out built-up toxins. Ultra Liver has now sold over 500,000 bottles and earned thousands of 5-star reviews. Users report more energy, less bloating, clearer thinking, and overall improved wellness. If you're ready to support your liver naturally and feel like yourself again, visit tryultraliver.com/Rubin. Right now, you can save up to 50% during their summer sale exclusively through that link. Take back control of your health with Ultra Liver. All right. A lot going on here. I was trying to check the numbers. Rochelle says, went to the theater last night to see Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. One of the previews was for the trailer for Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. What are your thoughts on this? So first off, I interviewed the original creator, co-creator of Naked Gun. I think we have a picture, David Zucker, who is just one of the best of the best. This was one of the most enjoyable interviews of my life. And the fact that I've become, I would say, good friends with this man who created Airplane. He and his brother and Pat Profit created Airplane and Naked Gun and a series of Naked Guns. David also did a couple of the scary movies, and he's just the master of farce. And if you've never seen Kentucky Fried Movie, it was their first movie from around 1976. Can we get the year on that? It was a little before my time, but I remember seeing it as a kid. It's just like a series of things. It's sort of an internet movie, actually, because it's just a series of like flipping channels all put together in a movie. Did I get it right? 77. All right, there you go. 77, not bad. But yes, they took Naked Gun. They did not give it to David, and he is a more outwardly spoken, conservative-ish leaning guy in Hollywood. They did not give it to him. They gave it to Seth MacFarlane. You can think what you want about Seth MacFarlane. He's kind of woke. Family Guy's okay, fine. But it looks horrible. I saw the second trailer they released a day or two ago. It's not just that the jokes don't look good and they're just trying to recreate something that they should have handed it to the original guy. He had the script. I told you guys. If you haven't seen my interview with him, it's great. I have the script. He wrote the script for Naked Gun 4, the rebooted Naked Gun. I read it on a plane. It is hilarious. I want to help him make it. Unfortunately, they won't be able to call it Naked Gun because obviously the studio owns the name and they've already given it to MacFarlane. But I watched the trailer, and one thing that was bothering me beyond just kind of the jokes falling flat is that if you watch the original Naked Gun, the beauty of Leslie Nielsen was the hapless character that Frank Drebin was. Frank Drebin's being shot at, and he always kind of has a smile on his face or just this look of bewilderment all the time, doesn't really know what's going on. Liam Neeson, and it's funny that they went from Leslie Nielsen to Liam Neeson. They were like, can we get a name that sounds familiar? That'll trick people. Like, he looks angry the whole time. There's an anger to it, and that's not what Naked Gun is. And yes, I do think Naked Gun is the funniest movie of all time. I would even put it above Airplane, which most people say. But the fact that Zucker has two of the top, any sensible person would say Airplane and Naked Gun are two of the top 10 funniest movies of all time. Like, pretty freaking amazing. Jeffrey says, are you glad you left Israel before the bombs started falling? I actually almost stayed a few extra days. And I was going to have the team go back and I was going to stay a couple extra days. And then I realized that I didn't want to be away from the kids for that long. And, we were missing a lot of shows. I have to say, there has been a part of me that in some sense, it kind of sounds crazy to say, but like in some sense that I wish I was there because I was just there. I was just there and I experienced all of the incredibleness of it and took my team out. We're out at 4 a.m. like having fun. And then the very next day, talking to a woman who was held under Gaza for 54 days. Like, there's this unbelievable sense of life. Like, what I keep saying is Israel's fighting for its life while the West is just dying a slow death. So the energy of being there has been incredible. And I suppose, and they will survive this, right? Like, this too shall pass. And I think to be there during something like that would be unbelievably profound and spiritual and everything else. And I can assure you that being in Jerusalem for the time we were was, I think this time, more deeply meaningful than any other time I was there. So I know it's easy to say from the outside, like, I wish I was there. Obviously, it's not fun. You're in bomb shelters. I mean, I interviewed former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett in his bomb shelter, which is his office, right? Because they don't have a lot of land. They don't have a lot of space. So they have to double their bomb shelters as something else. And he and his whole family, I don't know how many kids he has, but the office was tiny. When we shot the interview in there, if you haven't seen it, you can find it. We actually kind of asked him, could we do this outside or something? Because it was so small that to do it in there, we didn't even think it would be appropriate. Now him and his family have been in there for probably hours a day. So it's an interesting, it tells you a little something about what it's like to fight for your life, you know? Heather says, what is your favorite cooking gadget / tool you didn't know you could live without until you had it? Bonus if it's not grill related. Well, you know I'm the grill master over here. I got one for you. How about the mallet? You ever just whack a piece of chicken? You know what I'm talking about? You get that mallet and you just bang the hell out of a piece of chicken. You know what I'm talking about. Because you want, sometimes it's nice to have you can also do it for veal or some other things. If you want something a little bit thinner, if you want a schnitzel or a scallopini, something like that, you really whack it. You can even do it for chicken parm, although I like my chicken parm a little more robust. But I like hitting a piece of chicken with a mallet. We should have just ended the live stream right there. That would have been it. That is our show for today. We got a couple pre-tapes coming up. Guys, again, it sounds like a ton of you have done this. So here's what I'll do. This was not the original plan, but this is what we will do. Every single person, up to 5,000 people, I can't do it more than that. Every single person that buys Copal in the first 48 hours will get the signed sticker by me. All you have to do is buy a bottle at drinkcopal.com, forward your receipt to hello@drinkcopal.com. I will sign the sticker that you can put on the bottle. Again, the bottles are all unique. Every single bottle is absolutely unique artwork. We did something really cool with AI, which, as I said, that caused a bit of the delay. But I promise you, I'm not here to crap on other tequilas. Clase Azul, that great Clase Azul bottle. Connor, would you grab me one of those for just a sec? Or can one of you guys grab me one of those? The Clase Azul bottle that everyone knows, right? We even have them on the set. We won't have them much longer because now we got our own tequila. But everyone knows this tequila, and I'm not attacking the fine people of Clase Azul, but this is about a $180 bottle. Our tequila is so much better, and it's clean and it's delicious. They're both reposados. Everyone buys Casamigos. You go to a bar, and a lot of people are just like, I'll have a Casamigos on the rocks, or I can have a margarita with Casamigos, whatever. And it's just because it was a good name. I'll give Clooney credit. Casa Amigos, combine those things. House friend, combine those words. Great name. It's not great tequila. I promise you, this is delicious tequila made the right way. And it's my fourth business. Not bad for a guy that's not even 49 years old for another week. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for partaking in this little adventure that we do here. And we're going to do, for the rest of the weeks until I go off the grid, we're going to do Tequila Tuesdays. So we will figure out a way to do, I'll do shots. It's not really you don't want to do shots with this because it's so delicious, but we'll do some sipping tastes, maybe some shots. We'll do some games with the guys and some other things. Thank you for watching. Oh, I'll give you a couple more shout outs of people that just purchased. Jennifer, Cameron, Lisa, Patty, Valerie, Nick, Ted, Corky, Karen, David, Kimberly, and it says Rand Paul, but I don't think it was him. Oh, the Rand Paul interview is on. And Rand Paul bought a case, everybody. Endorsed. The only tequila endorsed by Senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul. Rand Paul, everybody. Are we doing a post-game show or we're tight today? I don't think we can. Yeah, we can't do a post-game show today. I got a pre-tape and some other stuff. But thank you guys for watching. I'll jump in locals later and we'll talk tequila. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I'm not afraid of Zionists in the dancing guy. The YMCA shaking booty guy with nice hair, In rallies, he dances and shit. I'm not afraid of them. I have surprise for them. Big surprise. They will never forget surprise. For centuries, they will remember surprise. After I give the order.